Eleanor Roosevelt had this great quote. She said that poor minds talk about other people, average minds talk about events, but great minds talk about ideas. Welcome to the Take On Everything podcast. What's up, everybody? It's Monday night.
Hi.
It's all your favorite people here.
It's a night, you know. All your favorite people, just the two of us?
Well, we are everyone's favorite people, I'm just saying.
We'll take it. I'll take it, you know. At least somebody appreciates me. It's about fucking time, I'll tell you that much. But James,
That's right.
You were at the convention, the main convention?
Maryland, yeah.
Maryland? What M state?
Nice.
I went to public
school.
It
was an M state. There's a
I
lot
went to
of
public school. I know there's 50. I don't know all of them.
I think it was in the U.S.
Hopefully, I don't know. I think they're doing something in Alaska, and I appreciate you, boo.
Okay.
Hi.
Appreciated.
Oh, that made my day.
Right off the
bat. Like, I already feel good about myself. This is going to be a great episode.
It's a great way to start the show.
What a great way to start the show. We never start like this. Hey, Jen, how are you?
That's a win. That
is. Tell us about the convention. Give us a quick rundown before we start.
So the convention was pretty great. So there was a lot of people, highest attendance in Maryland State Party convention history. It was my first convention, which was a blast. I had a lot of fun. It's nothing like being in a room full of libertarians. Like, sometimes we fight online and we hurl accusations because iron sharpens iron, as they say. And but once you get in a room with like-minded people, it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of great conversation, great speakers. We got a lot of stuff done. Elected a new chair who's going to do a great job. Elected a new executive board, which I love all those guys. So really excited about the future. We're going to do a lot of grassroots stuff, opening up local affiliates and local grassroots organizers. And we're going to start really taking it to the local politics and making some shit happen. So I'm excited about it.
I love that. I've never been to a political convention ever, let alone like a libertarian thing. I've only met like two libertarians in real life. So I'm super excited to see like how the vibe is different from online. But that being said, come to the Colorado convention because I'm going to be there for one night only. If you want to meet me, I don't know.
That's
don't
right.
do it or don't. Right? I don't care.
Are there tickets?
There are tickets.
Yeah. So don't wait till it's sold out.
I'd plug the website, but I don't know it. But come to the convention.
You'll find it. You guys know how to Google.
Go to the Colorado. Google the Colorado LP. Find their tickets. Figure it out. Do all this extra work so that you can come. So that I can meet you. You know, because I love you guys. I really do. But we're going to continue on to these government conspiracy theories that turned out to be true.
Because we didn't have enough time last week.
Because there's so fucking many. There's so many.
There's too many.
What pisses me off?
One's like, I might give you a pass. Like, I'll give you shit, but I'll give you a pass. But like, this list is insane. So there's no pass at this point. This is intentional.
What upsets me is it's all like 60, 70 years after the fact. So there's not like much I could do. And like how everyone that like experienced and lived through it and participated and can verify is dead. So now they're going to tell me what happened. And it's just like, oh, well, don't do that again.
Yeah. It's like, by the way, 50, 60 years ago, we like poisoned your kids, like intentionally, but it's like cool though, because they're all dead anyway. No big deal.
When they own the information, they can bend it all they want, which brings me to our first conspiracy series, conspiracy theory of the episode. It's Monday. The Tonkin incident, which led to the Vietnam War. And what happened was the USS Maddox was engaged with 3 Vietnamese boats in the Gulf of Tonkin on August 3rd and August 5th. No. August 2nd and August 4th. Close enough, of 1964.
It was off by one day, for 50 years ago. So I think that's a pass.
Accuracy only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. So, and they're throwing bombs. These are bombshells we're dropping, okay? So according to the Pentagon Papers, that we were attacked by 3 different boats on these dates, and that's what gave Congress the okay to let Lyndon B. Johnson, he's a dick, we hate him, to enter the Vietnam War. And then 60 years after the fact, in 2005, they released that, oh yeah, August 4th never happened. We made that shit up, and we entered that unwinnable war and lost countless American lives because we wanted to. And I can't decide if that was like malicious because like the industrial military complex, or if it was like a pride thing, like they already announced it, people were like running around and like perpetuating it, so it's like, you know what, let's just like let this narrative live its life. But either way, the fact that I had to wait till 2005 to figure out that you fucking lied to me is an issue, and no one's taking that seriously.
Yeah, so even like the story that they tell is it's a little dubious. So here's the legit story like that they pushed for those 50 years, right? It was, hey, we were peacefully minding our own business with our warships off the coast of Vietnam in Vietnamese waters. And then out of the blue, because we're so peaceful, somebody attacked us. And you see where that logic's
America
going?
minding
Even
their own
the story,
business. America.
that is us minding our own business.
In somebody else's house. We're just gonna hang out in your house and mind our own business. You don't mind, right? Like, we're peacefully invading.
We're sitting here like, okay, so imagine like, right, you break into your neighbor's house and you're just sitting in their living room on their couch, right, peacefully watching them eat dinner, right? And then somebody out of the blue, unprovoked, right? Unprovoked, walks up from the dinner table and punches you in the mouth. And you're like, ow, why would you do that? I didn't deserve any of this. So now all my buddies are going to come in here and kill all of your children in front of you. Unprovoked. You know what I mean? That's how.
And then you're going to get your ass handed to you because like you don't know where the weapons are in the house. And it was just like, you could have stayed home. Remember that. In moments when you could stay home, do it.
Just stay home.
Just stay home, okay? You don't need to bother nobody. Just stay home, get your groceries delivered like an adult, and don't talk to people, because then we start Vietnam Wars.
Yeah, just like, how hilarious is it that like the official Pentagon version of events is straight up bullshit, and then it's even more bullshit than that actually was. Like the fake story. No, the fake story was fake. None of this happened. We just really, really wanted to get involved in Vietnam. Tiny bit of historical background. Vietnam was owned by France from like the 50s. And France decided they were getting their ass kicked, so they were going to leave.
Amen,
and so
Jen.
the U.S. was like, oh yeah.
Amen.
Those things are directly related, right? The whole foreign policy thing and tax it's a never end. All those taxes directly to the military industrial complex, which is great. That's exactly where I want to see my money go.
Why even just let me donate to them, you know? Because like I like to bomb brown kids as much as the next guy, and I would happily just like, it's the force, really. You don't let me decide to bomb brown kids. You just bomb them for me, and like it takes away my independence of murder.
That's right. What do we say? Good ideas don't require force. It's like,
if it's a good idea to murder children in other countries, I will do it. You don't have to ask. Like I would have been murdering kids. Stop taking my money and let me cut out the middleman. Just let me go.
They lied to us. Said they got punched in the mouth while they were peacefully invading another country. And then 80,000 U.S. Marines died and hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese farmers died and kicked our ass, by the way, which is the whole end of the story is we got our ass kicked by a bunch of farmers. Okay. Just throwing that out there.
Very on brand for tyrants though. Cause remember when like we were the farmers kicking ass? Now we got farmers kicking our ass. And that's
we still do in Afghanistan. They're kicking our ass too. We just shouldn't mess with farmers, guys. Just don't.
I think we should just stop being tyrants because tyrants just get their ass kicked. Like, ooh.
That's a novel idea.
Novel idea. Like, slap that shit on a t-shirt. Stop being a tyrant. You'll get your ass kicked. Big brain things happening here.
Oh yeah, for real.
So yeah, loved it. And that was stupid. That was a stupid thing we did. And I never supported the Vietnam War. Which is why I
Yeah, you
don't
were.
care that anyone dodged that draft. You know, like
Oh yeah,
I
Muhammad
don't
Ali,
give
like
a
amen to
shit.
that guy. Real, like seriously, that dude was a badass. By the way, he stood
Who?
up in front of like Muhammad Ali.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he stood up in front of the entire country, who was basically draft dodger, un-American, and all that stuff, and he took a principled stance against the war, and that is not hard to do. So if anybody thinks that they would take some kind of principled stance in the middle of, in the face of like 90% opposition, that's bullshit. You're not going to. You're probably very, very few people can actually take that kind of pressure and stand. So
And
props to
that's
him.
different than bone spurs. Let's just be clear. Like a principled stance is very different than my bone spurs. I can't go, my bone spurs. That's very different. Very different. Okay. One is noble and the other is shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up and go die in a war. Okay. It's capitalism. I don't know. But we have to move on to number 6. Okay. Well, not number 6, number 2. Number 6 on my list. We're not going in order.
We're not, because there's so many things to cover. But yeah.
There's too many things to cover, and I don't want you guys to think we're predictable. But we're going to talk about the MK Ultra experiment and this was surprising to me. I didn't know they did it on Canadians too, because I thought that Canada was like cool and shit. But apparently they're like doing human research also. But for those of you who don't know about the MK Ultra, and I know libertarians love to beat this one to death and just I don't trust the government because of MK Ultra. But this was a CIA research division. They gave LSD and other drugs to unwilling. I don't know if they were unwilling, but they were unknowing patients. And they got them from prisons, hospitals, and asylums. And the government was paying the hospitals and schools and stuff to keep their mouth shut about it. And at least one person killed themselves because they were on LSD. And I think here's my only drug advice. The only advice I'll give about drugs. Don't take drugs unless you absolutely want to take drugs, because that shit's going to be terrifying if you're not ready for it. And like, it's cruel and unusual to alter somebody's state of mind and not tell them about it, because like, that's how do you even begin to navigate now that your reality is different? You change the reality, and that's why that is cruel. It's who doesn't want to try a new drug? Like, hey, this will get you high. Sign me up. That's all you had to say. And the fact that you are offering heroin to heroin addicts to get them to participate, like this, you don't view them as human beings anymore. And like, this experiment should really chill everything we need to know about the government, and that we are just like fodder for whatever the hell they want to get done. But what really upsets me about this is not the government's actions, but the complicitness of those around them. Because the hospitals accepted the money and kept their mouth shut, and the schools accepted the money and kept their mouth shut, and the institutions, asylums, took the money and kept their fucking mouth shut. And if it's not, who's holding the government accountable if not the people and institutions within the government? So like, who was supposed to protect these people if not who entrusted you into their care? They're in the hospital, so you will care about them. And you chose money and profit over their safety. And like, the government fucking sucks. But if the people within like the free market are also going to act this way, we're fucked. There's nothing to do.
That's such a huge point, by the way, is people think that, if private individuals in the free market, if they do it, it's fine. When the government is your customer, okay, your customer is no longer the people. Essentially, the CIA ended up paying these, psychiatric hospitals and the prisons and the schools. Stanford, by the way, if anybody has taken Psychology 101, knows about the Stanford experiment, that was partially funded by the CIA, by the way. And that was another school that did some of these MK Ultra experiments. So you have all of these institutions that, you send your kid to be educated at Stanford, right? That's a great school. You send
That's an
your loved
expensive
one.
School.
Exactly. Right. You spend a lot of money. right? And then, okay, so back in the day, there's something to understand about psychiatric hospitals. Back in the day, psychiatric hospitals was a catch-all for anybody that had any kind of problems, whether it be some kind of, a mental disorder, an emotional disorder, even depression was sent to these psychiatric hospitals. So people that just were having bad days and needed some help, right, to go see a shrink to help them get through their troubles. Maybe they experienced a traumatic event, and then these people were subjected to this experimental drug trial just for kicks, just to see what would happen. And so you trust these people to take care of your loved ones and your family, and which is why they tried to do it on prisoners and stuff. But still, there the tens of thousands. They don't even know how many people were part of this program, because in the mid 70s, the director of the CIA ended up destroying all of the files,
destroyed the records.
Most of them. Yeah.
No, so not all of them, because they did through the Freedom of Information Act. They got some of it, but there's still like gaps in the timelines. And we know that there were 30 universities involved in various studies with the CIA. And why is the CIA conducting experiments on American people? Like, why are they conducting experiments? What are you researching? And the fact that we don't know this stuff is terrifying. And it's like, how can I hold someone accountable if I don't even know what they're up to? And
we don't find out for decades. That's the other problem, right?
After everyone's dead.
Yeah, exactly. If there was like a program and it was a little dubious, we could at least discuss it or something, right? But no, we don't find out until after all the damage is done, after people have killed themselves, after we created Ted Kaczynski. Does anybody know who the Unabomber is? The Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, the guy who tormented the U.S. Tech industry and airlines and the government for 2 decades, was a part of the MK Ultra experiment. He was a crazy guy. He was an extremely intelligent guy. He was a doctor of mathematics. Okay, but he went crazy after being tested and experimented on during the MK Ultra project, and he started mailing bombs to people and killing people because he was crazy. Right? This is what happens, and that's just one example of the people, the famous people, the influential people that ended up, being part of MK Ultra after the fact. Like, there was mobsters, there was authors, there's all kinds of crazy people ended up being trace their roots back to the MK Ultra project, which is just and we don't even know the extent of it. We don't, and that's the frustrating part. There's another aspect of the MK Ultra which I thought was kind of, they used to try to prey on like homeless people and prostitutes and all that stuff. They had this so in the MK Ultra project, they had like sub projects for different like control groups and stuff. Yeah. One of them was called Operation Midnight Climax. And that's when they used to invite American created own enemies. Yeah, that's a fact. We always do that domestically and foreign.
We pick our own handicaps, and America just likes to perpetuate a narrative of violence. But like, if you have a violent government system, what else would they produce besides violence? And
I wonder what would happen what would happen if we gave a bunch of Taliban guys lots of military grade weaponry, so they can fight some other bad guys. I wonder what that's going to turn into. They're
going to love us, and they're going to let us build pipelines through their land. Like, obviously, they're going to love us. What? Oh my God, our buildings, they're falling. That's crazy. What? How did this happen?
Unprovoked attack again. It's like
we were peacefully invading.
And arming and funding, fundamentalist groups.
You know what scares me? There could be MK Ultra right now just happening. And like, my kids are going to be like, oh my God, they did that. And I would be like, yeah.
Our kids are going to be the ones that have the show. Well, maybe it's going to be censored. I don't know. But they're going to have the show talking about the crazy times that we lived through.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's going to be like. It's fucking stupid. Because like, how do you even find out if there's another CIA secret experiment happening on people? And how do we even combat that?
Find out 30 years from now.
When everyone's dead and it doesn't fucking matter anymore. And exactly. It's like, do you just accept this as fact, as just like a part of American life? Or do
That's
you
a part of.
abolish the state?
That's the question we have before us today. But
I ask
this
myself every morning, do I just accept this as life, or do I abolish the state and then I make a meme about it?
that's the appropriate way to combat the
My
state.
therapist thinks so
Meme it
too.
out of existence. Meme it out of existence, because that's the most effective way to do this. But okay, get a hold of this. This is a name that they called one of the MK Ultra projects called Midnight Climax. Ha 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 ha. It's when they would
Giggity.
invite. It's when they would invite prostitutes. Well, actually, they were paid prostitutes, and they would invite people to come and do their business with the prostitutes, but high on LSD, and then try to get them to spill like secrets about their job or whatever. And it eventually extended to politicians. Just to see if they could handle state secrets. And they also tested their own CIA agents with that unwittingly from with their. I just got a kick out of that code name, Midnight Climax, when they were using prostitutes to
Why?
lure there.
What nefarious shit is the state up to that you gotta test your own people to make sure your secrets are safe while they're on drugs and knee deep in prostitute puss? Like, what the hell are you into that there's a secret that just must be kept under very specific and extenuating circumstances? And that's the problem with the government.
And they have a monopoly on prostitution, by the way, because apparently it was legal for them to do that. But yeah, it's illegal for us to do that. But they're allowed to have prostitutes.
Well, we knew that. Like, no matter if it's drugs, if it's prostitution, if it's murder, if it's like.
And they had all three of those in MK Ultra. So that's the trifecta.
The thing is, the government is not above the law per se. They just are the law, So like
that's actually a really good way to put it. They're not above. Yeah. They just are. Like,
they just are the law.
We make the rules.
So like whatever rules they were under that at that time is the rules. And that's why it's fickle.
Yep. It's like, basically the state is like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Let me check to see if what I'm doing is legal. Oh, wait, I'm going to check with myself. Yeah, what I'm doing is perfectly legal. Trust me.
We've investigated ourselves and we found that we did nothing wrong.
Wherever heard that from? I feel like that's a common theme with the government. We've investigated ourselves. We are doing a phenomenal job, the best job.
In fact,
no one's doing a better job than us.
We're giving ourselves a raise because we've just done so good. And we're the employee of the month again for the 249th year in a row. And I'm just really happy to serve you people.
That's right.
Here's my raise. Thank you.
Thank you for my raise. No,
thank you.
I'll take that at gunpoint. I'll take my raise from you at gunpoint.
All right. What's next, James?
So we have another conspiracy that turned out to be true. Now this one's a really fascinating one. This one kind of blew my mind at the time because, I was a Republican like in my early years. And so we used to I know it was actually pretty bad. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, how was I so blind? Luckily, I am no longer that. So Reagan is like really big in the Republican circles. He's like Jesus of the Republicans, right?
Imagine going that hard for a stranger that you've never met.
But he looks so good on TV.
He's a socialist, okay?
He didn't get an Emmy though, so he's no Cuomo.
No, wait. Wasn't he an actor?
He was. It was, yeah.
And did I don't know. Emmy?
That's pretty bad.
Imagine that's your profession and a bullshit politician gets an Emmy before you.
That's really the tragedy of his legacy.
Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, it was a good caveat. So, 1985, during Reagan's presidency, right? The U.S. had just, messed with Iran since the 50s, overthrew their government. So we're on bad terms with them. We're doing the same stuff to Iraq, but we were also pretending to be friends with them. Lebanon didn't like our shit. So they would take, they ended up taking 7 hostages. Lebanon did. Lebanon's a small country near Jordan in the Middle East. Like, yeah, right? Unprovoked. Like, why would they do that? I have no idea.
We were peacefully invading. Oh my God. Why can't they just mind their business?
Yeah, like, guys, we overthrew your government. Why would you be mad?
I'm helping you. Government sucks. Have democracy. We don't, but you should try it.
Not that democracy though. The guy you elected, we don't like him. He's not real democracy. We'll kill him.
They won't let us build pipelines. It's fucking stupid. Like who votes for someone who doesn't let us build pipelines? Selfish.
Don't they
It's
know?
selfish.
Don't they know we're backed into a corner and have to kill them at that point? Like that's just dumb. Why would you not let us do what we want?
Vote with the United States in mind if you don't want us to peacefully invade you.
It's common sense. It's foreign policy 101.
I know.
Yeah, common sense foreign policy.
We need to run the UN. Like things would be so much smoother if you and I were just running the UN.
Well, it's because we understand history and foreign policy. Like they just obviously don't.
And the complex that is the United States and just the power vacuum that's going to be created when I'm done with them.
Yes. That's very well put.
It
actually sounds fairly terrifying.
It's not a threat.
It's a good thing I'm on your team for now.
Okay, good.
It's like you better be.
Yeah.
Okay.
The alternative isn't great. Go ahead.
Yeah, trust me. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history. I'm history. Okay, so 1985, right? We're messing around in the Middle East, like starting to get our feet wet. But just before we start invading Iraq and Iran and all this stuff, we're just playing around, overthrowing countries. No big deal, right? So also at the same time, in Nicaragua and Central America, there's the Sandinista revolution. So basically, a bunch of communists took over Nicaragua, and so okay, we're enemies of the Middle East. We don't like commies. So let's see if we can work something out here. So what we want to do is fund the rebels, right? The moderate rebels in Nicaragua. Okay,
makes sense.
In order to do that, we're going to need money, right? But because we don't want to tell the American people that we need the money, what we're going to do is we're going to sell weapons to Iran.
Capitalism, love it.
Love it. Okay, so good so far, right? We're going to sell weapons to Iran. Iran's going to help us free the hostages in Lebanon. We're also going to sell weapons to Iraq at the same time, the enemy of Iran. Okay, capitalism as well. Then we're going to take all that money we made from selling weapons to both sides of a conflict, and we're going to fund the Nicaraguan rebels. Okay,
socialism,
so that they can overthrow. Yeah, like fuck socialism. Let's overthrow their elected government. We don't like democracy, right?
We don't have a democracy, so like I understand our hatred of
it. Exactly. Like why would we want that out there? That's just whatever. So we're selling weapons to Iran. Everything's good. We're selling weapons to Iraq. Everything's good. We get the 7 hostages out of Lebanon. We're funneling money into Nicaragua. And basically, we end up funneling a halfway genocide in Nicaragua, and then cause a military conflict between Iran and Iraq at the same time.
Best moment.
Like, half of me thinks that's fairly intentional because it's just like, hey, let's play all these guys against each other, destabilize everything, and no, we'll come in as the savior in the Persian Gulf War.
Very on brand for the American savior complex.
It's like either that was a beautifully orchestrated accident or.
But like, why not just sell the weapons and like feed the children of America, because 27% of California can't read, so like if you're going to like destabilize a country, fine, but make sure your country's stable first. Charity starts at home. And like, I can't decide if I would have been fine if they sold weapons and used that money to like feed hungry kids on the street. We don't
like to do that. We like to buy guns and bombs though with the money. Like that's typically what Americans do. And then we give them to moderate rebels, which has never in the history of anything ever come back to bite us in the butt.
Socialism.
Funding the rebels.
See, socialism kills people. It kills
That's
people.
Right.
Every chance it gets, communism and socialism kills people. You can't just give anyone anything for free. Okay?
Because
you're gonna make them die.
Because it forces us to arm the rebels, and then people die. Like we had no choice but to arm the rebels in that fight. Which the revolution failed, by the way, and that's the only reason it ended up coming out is because the revolution failed against the Sandinistas, and Reagan had egg on his face essentially. So, and a real quick caveat: here's the last conspiracy theory we're going to cover. We're running up on time, but this is the tie-in. Okay, here's the beautiful tie-in. So remember the first Iraq War, the Persian Gulf War.
I don't remember it, but yeah.
I mean, I wasn't alive either, so it's whatever. So the Persian Gulf War in the early 90s. Turns out those weapons that we sold to Iraq and Iran and the encouragement that we gave to Iraq to invade Kuwait, they were all using U.S. Weapons in that battle. And in the there was a testimony of a diplomat's daughter in front of Congress saying that all the Iraqis were invading the hospitals and throwing babies out of incubators. And that was the justification for us going into the first Iraq war. But
Can I
no
just
one
say that's
told
a
anybody.
dumb reason to start a whole fucking war, because a few, and like, not to say that isn't bad, because you should not throw babies to the fucking ground, okay? That's
Babies are off
reserved. It's reserved for adults. You throw adults to the fucking ground. You can't throw a baby. But also, I'm not going to initiate a whole fucking war because a couple babies hit the fucking ground. And I feel like this story was overkill, because you don't really need a reason to make America go to war and to like exaggerate a story like this and have a child. Like, how the hell was she in the hospital? Like, how did she know that this was happening? And I feel like it would have been better if they had one of the babies that was tossed on the ground on there like a little cripple. I think it's so stupid that they did that. And it's just like a waste of time, money, and energy, because it was the diplomat's daughter who was partnered with, I'm sorry, I took this over from you, but it was the diplomat's daughter that was partnered with a public relations firm that lobbied the government into letting this little girl testify. And it's like, don't make children perpetuate your wars. Like, leave the kids out of it. And that's just poor parenting, to let your daughter go testify in front of Congress. And I bet that piece of shit was like a proud fucking father. She's saying everything so perfectly. I wrote that for her. I did. And like, that's stupid to me. And it's just like, leave the kids out of it. Is nothing sacred anymore? You have to have your fucking daughter up there. Oh yeah, they're throwing. How the hell does she know? And the fact that you didn't disclose that she was your daughter is dishonest and just perpetuates the further narrative that the government's lying to us. And you can't have countless examples of this perpetuated throughout history and then be like, why doesn't anyone trust this vaccine? Like, no one's trusting us and I hate it. Why? Babe, your track record sucks.
I don't know. It's a pretty bad track record. It's like
every chance you get to disappoint me, you do. It's like
consistency, consistency.
But maybe if I hope the government disappoints me, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
And that's the optimism we have to leave you guys with tonight. Is try to overestimate their evilness so that one day you may be pleasantly surprised.
I know. Wow. I thought this was going to be a Stalin, but they turned out to be Hitler. It's great.
That's a win. I'll call it a win.
Silver linings.
That's right.
All right,
guys. That's
I'm
what we have
for tonight.
And I'm
We're
James
never
Cook.
On sync with these fucking outros. Damn it! Stop talking.
Guys, we're trying.
Do the outro, James.
Outro it is. Good night, guys.